Welcome to Life Stories, where we uncover the most captivating and thought-provoking tales that inspire and intrigue. Today, we bring you the mysterious story of the Belmont sisters, two women whose beauty and success seemed too perfect to be real. What dark secrets lay behind their flawless faces and thriving empire? Join us as we delve into a world of deception, bravery, and the ultimate price of ambition. Subscribe to Life Stories now to begin today's enthralling journey. Don't miss a moment of this extraordinary tale. The Belmont sisters, Emma and Lily, grew up in luxury. Their sprawling estate in the affluent suburbs of New York was the envy of everyone around. The Belmont name was synonymous with wealth and influence, a legacy carefully built over generations. Their childhood was filled with everything money could buy: elegant clothes, fine jewelry, and private tutors for every subject imaginable. Yet, despite their privilege, there was one thing that Emma and Lily could never claim: beauty. In their world, appearances were currency. The exclusive private school they attended valued perfection, where beauty often carried more weight than kindness or intelligence. Unfortunately for Emma and Lily, their looks fell far short of the impossibly high standards set by their peers. While their classmates flaunted shiny hair, flawless skin, and effortless charm, Emma and Lily often faced cruel whispers and mocking glances. The worst of their tormentors was Sarah Whitman. The Whitman family was one of the few in town that rivaled the Belmonts in wealth and status. And Sarah had been crowned the unofficial queen of their school. Her beauty and charisma made her untouchable. Every boy wanted to be near her, and every girl wanted to be her. Sarah had taken a particular pleasure in targeting Emma and Lily, mocking their unruly hair and their lack of poise. "Money can't buy everything," she'd once said with a smirk, loud enough for the sisters to hear. The laughter that followed was a sound Emma and Lily couldn't forget. The teasing didn't stop at school. Even in social gatherings, where the Belmont sisters' family name should have offered them some protection, the comments persisted. Emma and Lily endured it quietly, their polite smiles hiding the sting of every cruel word. But no amount of wealth or privilege could shield them from the feeling of being less than enough. One evening, after another particularly difficult day, the sisters retreated to their shared bedroom. The room, though grand and filled with treasures, felt stifling. They sat by the large window overlooking their estate, the moonlight casting long shadows across the room. "I wish we were beautiful," Emma whispered, her voice breaking the silence. "I wish we could walk into a room, and people would look at us with admiration, not pity." Lily nodded, her gaze fixed on the glowing lights of the town below. "I'd do anything," she said softly, her voice tinged with desperation. "Anything to stop being a joke to everyone." Their words hung in the air, heavy with longing. As they sat in the stillness, a strange sensation filled the room. The air seemed to shift, growing colder, and the shadows danced as if alive. A voice, soft and ethereal, broke through the silence. "Do you truly wish for beauty?" it asked, the words echoing as though carried on the wind. Emma and Lily froze, their eyes darting around the room. "Who's there?" Emma asked, her voice trembling. The voice didn't answer the question. Instead, it continued. "If beauty is what you desire, come to me. I can grant it. But remember, all beauty comes at a price." The sisters exchanged nervous glances. Fear warred with curiosity. Yet, the allure of the voice was undeniable, pulling them toward it. "Do we go?" Lily asked, her voice barely audible. Emma hesitated but then nodded. "What do we have to lose?" That night, they slipped out of their mansion and followed the voice through the woods that bordered their estate. The moonlight guided their path, casting an eerie glow on the misty surroundings. They walked in silence, their hearts pounding with a mix of fear and anticipation. After what felt like hours, they reached a clearing bathed in moonlight. At its center stood an ancient mirror, its surface cracked and dull, yet somehow captivating. As they approached, the voice spoke again. this time from the mirror itself. Touch the glass, it urged, and all that you desire will be yours. But know this, beauty requires payment. You will owe me a price. One you must pay every year. Emma and Lily hesitated, their hands hovering over the cold surface. The promise of beauty was too tempting to resist, and the thought of escaping the ridicule that had haunted them was overpowering. Without a word, they reached out and pressed their fingers against the glass. The transformation was instantaneous. A warmth spread through their bodies, and they felt their appearances change. Their hair turned silky and radiant, their skin flawless, their features strikingly symmetrical. They were beautiful beyond anything they could have imagined. When they returned home, they caught their reflections in the mirror for the first time. The girls who had been mocked and scorned were gone, replaced by two ethereal beings who could stop anyone in their tracks. For the first time in their lives, they felt powerful. The next day at school, the whispers were different. No one laughed or pointed anymore. Instead, their classmates stared in awe, unable to look away. Even Sarah Whitman, the untouchable queen, seemed momentarily speechless. Emma and Lily had achieved what they had always wanted. But deep in the recesses of their minds, the voice's words lingered, beauty comes at a price. The transformation changed everything for Emma and Lily Belmont. Overnight, they became the center of attention, turning heads wherever they went. Their classmates, who once mocked them, now admired them. Boys who had never spared them a glance suddenly competed for their attention. And the whispers that followed them in the halls were no longer cruel. Instead, they were filled with awe and envy. Even Sarah Whitman, their longtime tormentor, couldn't hide her shock. When Emma and Lily walked into school that morning, heads held high, Sarah's carefully cultivated confidence wavered. She watched them, her smile tight, her eyes betraying her confusion. How had the girls she once considered beneath her become so radiant, so untouchable? Emma and Lily reveled in their newfound power. For the first time in their lives, they felt seen and respected. Their social calendars filled quickly, and invitations to exclusive parties, once a rarity, poured in. They became the talk of the town, their beauty making them instant celebrities in their wealthy community. But with this newfound attention came a shift in their priorities. No longer content with simply being admired, Emma and Lily decided to capitalize on their beauty. They launched a beauty brand, Gleam Luxe, promising their products would offer a touch of their radiance to anyone who used them. Their name carried weight, and their stunning looks gave them credibility. It wasn't long before Gleam Luxe became the most sought-after beauty brand in the country. The sisters were methodical in their branding. Every detail of Gleam Luxe was designed to exude elegance and exclusivity. Their products were expensive, and their marketing campaigns leaned heavily on their own flawless appearances. Emma and Lily's faces graced billboards and magazine covers, their beauty captivating the masses. Year after year, Gleam Luxe dominated the industry, outshining every competitor including Sarah Whitman. Determined to reclaim her place at the top, Sarah launched her own brand, Radiance by Whitman, pouring her family's resources into the venture. But no matter how innovative her products were, they couldn't compete with the allure of Gleam Luxe or the perfection of the Belmont sisters. Publicly, Sarah maintained her composure, congratulating Emma and Lily at industry events and feigning admiration. Privately, however, she seethed with frustration. She couldn't shake the feeling that there was something unnatural about their success. How had they become so flawless, so untouchable? Seemingly overnight. Sarah was determined to find out. Meanwhile, Emma and Lily's lives seemed perfect to the outside world. They attended glamorous events, rubbed shoulders with celebrities, and enjoyed the admiration of millions. But behind closed doors, their reality was far more complicated. Each year, on the anniversary of their transformation, the sisters returned to the woods to renew their beauty. The rituals were eerie and unsettling. involving chants in a language they didn't understand and offerings to the cracked mirror. Every time they completed the ritual, the mirror's voice reminded them of the price they paid to maintain their appearances. "You are bound to me," it whispered. "Break the pact, and you will lose everything." Emma and Lily never spoke about the rituals, not even to each other, but the strain of their secret began to weigh on them. They lived in constant fear of being discovered, of missing a ritual, of losing the beauty that had become their identity. The success of Gleam Lux only added to their stress. They worked tirelessly to maintain their empire, knowing that their flawless image was the foundation of everything they had built. Any crack in that facade could bring it all crashing down. As the years passed, their beauty became both their greatest weapon and their heaviest burden. They had everything they had ever dreamed of: admiration, power, success, but deep down, a nagging unease lingered. The voice in the mirror had promised them beauty, but it had never promised happiness. And somewhere in the shadows, Sarah Whitman watched, waiting for her chance to uncover the truth. Sarah Whitman's suspicions about the Belmont sisters deepened with every passing year. No one could deny that Emma and Lily's beauty was extraordinary, but Sarah knew it wasn't natural. She remembered the girls they used to be: awkward, overlooked, and ordinary. The change had been too sudden, too perfect. While the rest of the world fawned over them, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that there was a darker story behind their flawless appearances and meteoric rise. Her frustration grew as Radiance by Whitman, her own beauty brand, struggled to keep up with Gleam Lux. Despite her hard work and innovative ideas, her brand remained a distant second. Every year, the Belmont sisters swept the prestigious annual beauty awards, their products celebrated as the pinnacle of excellence. Sarah watched them accept trophy after trophy, their radiant smiles and subtle smirks only fueling her determination. The final straw came during the most recent awards ceremony. Emma and Lily had just won yet again, and as they passed Sarah on their way to the stage, Emma leaned in and whispered, "Better luck next year, Sarah." "Though, honestly, I wouldn't count on it." Lily's soft laugh followed, cutting through Sarah's composure like a knife. That night, Sarah made a decision. She would uncover the secret behind the Belmont sisters' beauty and success, no matter what it took. Her first step was to hire Eunice Harper, a talented and ambitious young makeup artist with a reputation for discretion. Eunice had recently moved to New York from Boston, eager to make a name for herself in the beauty industry. Sarah saw her potential immediately and offered her a proposition: infiltrate Gleam Lux, gain the sisters' trust, and uncover the truth about their beauty. Eunice hesitated at first. She admired the Belmont sisters and had always dreamed of working for their brand. But Sarah's offer was too enticing to refuse, both financially and professionally. After careful consideration, Eunice agreed, promising to keep her mission a secret. Within weeks, Eunice was hired as a junior makeup artist at Gleam Lux. From the moment she stepped into their opulent headquarters, she was struck by the sheer extravagance of the place. The floors were marble, the walls adorned with crystal chandeliers, and every corner gleamed with luxury. But despite the grandeur, there was something unsettling about the environment. Eunice noticed that Emma and Lily were rarely seen in the office. When they did appear, it was only briefly, gliding through the halls with an air of untouchable perfection. Their employees treated them like royalty, whispering in hushed tones about their beauty and charisma. Yet no one seemed to know much about the sisters beyond their public personas. Determined to uncover the truth, Eunice paid close attention to everything around her. She quickly realized that Gleam Lux operated differently from other beauty brands. There were no visible labs or manufacturing facilities on site, and the formulas for their products were kept under strict lock and key. Employees shrugged off her questions, attributing the secrecy to the sisters' desire to protect their intellectual property. But Eunice suspected there was more to the story. Her suspicions deepened one evening when she stayed late at the office. While walking through an empty hallway, She noticed a door slightly ajar at the back of the building. It was unmarked and hidden away, easily missed by anyone not paying attention. Her curiosity piqued. Eunice approached the door and peered inside. It led to a narrow staircase descending into darkness. Her heart pounded as she hesitated, torn between fear and the need for answers. Finally, she took a deep breath and stepped inside, her phone's flashlight guiding her way. At the bottom of the stairs, she found herself in a dimly lit hallway that ended at a single, heavy door. As she pushed it open, her breath caught in her throat. The room beyond was unlike anything she had ever seen. The walls were covered in strange symbols, and at the center of the room stood an ancient, cracked mirror surrounded by flickering candles. The air was thick with an eerie energy that made the hairs on the back of her neck stand on end. Eunice felt as though she had stumbled into a place that didn't belong in the modern world, a place steeped in darkness and secrecy. She moved closer, her eyes fixed on the mirror. Its surface shimmered faintly, as if alive, and distorted reflections danced across it. A chill ran down her spine as she realized she was looking at the heart of the Belmont sisters' secret. But before she could process what she was seeing, she heard the sound of footsteps approaching from the stairwell. Her blood ran cold. She quickly turned off her phone's flashlight and ducked into the shadows, her heart racing. The door creaked open, and in walked Emma and Lily, their flawless faces illuminated by the flickering candlelight. They moved to the center of the room, their voices low as they began a ritual unlike anything Eunice could have imagined. Eunice held her breath as she crouched in the shadows, her heart pounding in her chest. Emma and Lily Belmont stood before the cracked mirror, their presence commanding and otherworldly. In the dim light of the candles, their features seemed sharper, almost unnaturally radiant, as though the very air around them shimmered with their beauty. But their actions were far from ordinary. The sisters began chanting in a strange, guttural language Eunice couldn't understand. Their voices were low at first, rising and falling in a haunting rhythm that sent chills down her spine. Each word seemed to vibrate in the room, resonating with the symbols on the walls and the mirror at the center. Eunice strained to remain silent, even as fear clawed at her throat. As the chant grew louder, the mirror's surface began to ripple like water. Images flickered across it, faces, places, and shadowy figures that seemed to emerge from the depths of some unseen world. Emma and Lily pulled small velvet pouches from their pockets and sprinkled silvery powder onto their hands, tossing it toward the mirror. The air shimmered, and the sisters' appearances began to change before Eunice's eyes. Their already flawless faces grew even more radiant, their skin glowing with an ethereal light. The imperfections that marked their humanity, small lines around their eyes, faint shadows beneath them, vanished entirely. Their beauty became unearthly, almost too perfect to belong to the real world. Emma smiled, her voice a whisper as she spoke to the mirror. Another year of beauty, power, and success. No one will ever take this from us. Lily nodded, her expression smug. They'll never know our secret. Everyone thinks Gleam Lux is just makeup. But we know the truth. This mirror is our gift, our salvation. The sisters' laughter echoed in the room, cold and chilling. Eunice's mind raced as she watched, the pieces of the puzzle falling into place. Their beauty wasn't natural, it was stolen, borrowed from a dark and mysterious power tied to the mirror. Every product they sold, every accolade they received, was built on a foundation of lies and magic. Eunice barely dared to move, afraid that even the smallest sound would give her away. The ritual continued for what felt like an eternity before the sisters finally extinguished the candles and turned to leave. As the door creaked shut behind them, Eunice released the breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Her hands trembled as she stepped out of the shadows, her eyes fixed on the mirror. She knew she had just witnessed something that no one was ever meant to see. The truth about the Belmont sisters was darker and more dangerous than she had ever imagined. Eunice knew she needed to get out of there, but her curiosity got the better of her. She moved closer to the mirror, staring into its rippling surface. For a moment, she thought she saw her own reflection twist and distort, as if the mirror were alive and aware of her presence. A whisper seemed to emanate from the glass, soft and beckoning. "You saw nothing," it said. The words weaving into her mind. "Forget. And you will be safe." Eunice stumbled backward, her heart racing. The mirror's power was palpable, its dark energy seeping into the air around her. She turned and bolted up the stairs, her footsteps echoing in the empty hallways as she fled the building. When she finally burst out into the night air, she leaned against a wall, her chest heaving. She had uncovered the secret behind Emma and Lily's beauty. But she had no idea what to do next. Who would believe her? How could she expose something so unbelievable without putting herself in danger? Eunice's mind swirled with questions. But one thing was clear, she couldn't do this alone. She needed Sarah. Eunice wasted no time contacting Sarah. Her hands still trembled as she dialed the number, the events in the dark room replaying in her mind. When Sarah answered, Eunice's voice was hushed, but the urgency was unmistakable. "I found it," she whispered. "I know their secret." Sarah, who had been anxiously awaiting news, pressed for details. Eunice recounted everything: the hidden room, the cracked mirror, the eerie ritual, and the sisters' transformation. Her voice cracked as she described the strange language and the unearthly glow that overtook Emma and Lily. "You were right," Eunice said, her voice trembling. "Their beauty isn't natural. It's something dark. Something dangerous." Sarah listened intently, her grip tightening on the phone. "You did the right thing by calling me," she said firmly. "But this isn't over. If we're going to expose them, we need proof. We need to show the world what they've been hiding." They agreed to meet in person, away from prying eyes, to plan their next steps. When Eunice arrived at the small cafe where they had agreed to meet, Sarah could see the fear etched into her face. She placed a reassuring hand on Eunice's arm. "You're brave, Eunice," Sarah said. "I can't imagine what it must have been like to see that. But now we have a chance to stop them, to make things right." Eunice nodded, her resolve strengthening under Sarah's steady gaze. "I'll help you," she said. "But we have to be careful. Those sisters, they're not just powerful. They're dangerous." The two women spent hours devising a plan. Sarah, ever the strategist, suggested they gather tangible evidence, photos or video of the ritual. Eunice was hesitant at first, knowing the risk involved. But Sarah's determination was infectious. "We can't let them get away with this," Sarah said. "They've built an empire on lies and manipulation. It's time for the truth to come out." Eunice agreed, though a knot of fear tightened in her stomach. She knew she would have to return to the Belmont sisters' lair, to the room that had haunted her dreams since that night. But with Sarah's support, she felt a spark of courage. Over the next few days, Eunice carefully laid the groundwork. She pretended everything was normal at Gleam Lux, keeping her demeanor calm and professional. Meanwhile, Sarah stayed in the background, researching the sisters' history and preparing to go public with the story once they had the evidence. The opportunity came sooner than they expected. One evening, Eunice overheard the sisters discussing their next ritual. "We'll do it tomorrow night," Emma said, her tone matter-of-fact. "Everything needs to be perfect." Eunice relayed the information to Sarah, and the two prepared for the confrontation. They knew it was a gamble, one misstep could put them both in grave danger, but they couldn't turn back now. The following night, Eunice arrived at the office after hours, just as the sisters had instructed their staff to leave for the evening. She carried a small bag containing a hidden camera, her heart pounding as she approached the building. Sarah waited nearby in her car, ready to intervene if anything went wrong. She watched Eunice enter the building, her chest tight with worry. Inside, Eunice navigated the dark hallways with practiced ease. When she reached the hidden stairwell, she hesitated, her hand hovering over the doorknob. A deep breath steadied her nerves. and she descended into the shadows once more. At the bottom of the stairs, Eunice found the sisters already in the room, preparing for their ritual. The candles flickered, casting eerie shadows on the walls. Emma and Lily were focused on the mirror, their backs to the door. Eunice slipped into the corner, setting up the hidden camera to capture every detail. As the sisters began their chant, the mirror's surface rippled, and the room filled with an unnatural energy. Eunice's pulse raced as she watched, the camera recording every moment. But just as she thought she had escaped detection, Lily's voice broke through the chant. "Wait," she said, turning sharply. Her eyes scanned the room, narrowing. "We're not alone." Eunice's blood ran cold. Lily's words hung in the air, and Eunice felt her heart stop. She pressed herself further into the shadows, willing the darkness to hide her trembling form. But Emma had already turned, her sharp eyes scanning the room. "Who's there?" Emma demanded, her voice slicing through the eerie silence. Eunice clenched her fists, fighting the urge to run. Her mind raced as she tried to think of a way out. The sisters began moving toward the edges of the room, their movements slow and deliberate, like predators circling prey. Lily reached a corner near Eunice's hiding spot and paused. Her gaze lingered on the floor, her head tilting slightly. "You can't hide forever," she said softly, her voice carrying a venomous edge. Eunice's breath caught, and she knew she couldn't remain concealed any longer. With no other choice, she stepped out, holding up her hands in a feigned surrender. "It's me," she said, her voice shaking. "I didn't mean to intrude. I just got curious." Emma and Lily exchanged a glance, their expressions cold and calculating. "Curiosity can be dangerous," Emma said, her tone like ice. Lily's eyes narrowed as she took a step closer. "You've seen too much," she hissed. "Do you have any idea what you've stumbled upon?" Eunice's mind worked frantically. She had to stall, to keep them talking long enough for Sarah to realize something was wrong and intervene. I only wanted to understand," she said, her voice trembling. "Your beauty, your success, how do you do it? Everyone admires you so much." Emma's lips curled into a cruel smile. "Admiration comes with power," she said. "And power requires sacrifice. You think beauty like ours comes easily? It's earned, paid for in ways you couldn't begin to comprehend." Lily stepped closer, her face inches from Eunice's. "But now you've seen the cost," she whispered. "And no one leaves this room once they know the truth." Eunice's stomach churned, but she forced herself to meet Lily's gaze. "You don't have to do this," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. "You've already won. No one can take your success away from you." Emma laughed, the sound hollow and bitter. "You're naive if you think that. Without this mirror, we're nothing. And we can't risk anyone finding out the truth, not even a little mouse like you." Lily grabbed Eunice's arm, her grip like iron. "You'll make a perfect addition to our next ritual," she said, her voice dripping with malice. Eunice struggled, but Lily's hold was unyielding. Just as panic threatened to overwhelm her, the sound of footsteps echoed from the stairwell. Sarah appeared in the doorway, her face set with determination. "Let her go," Sarah commanded, her voice firm. She held a heavy flashlight in one hand, her stance defiant. Emma and Lily turned in unison, their expressions shifting to cold fury. "You," Emma spat. "I should have known you were behind this." Sarah stepped into the room, her eyes darting to Eunice. "Are you okay?" she asked, her voice softening. Eunice nodded, though her heart was still racing. "You have no idea what you've done," Lily said, her voice low and dangerous. "This is our domain, our power. You don't belong here." Sarah squared her shoulders. "You've built your empire on lies and darkness," she said. "It's time the world knows the truth." Emma snarled and moved toward Sarah. But Sarah reacted quickly, swinging the flashlight into the mirror. The impact sent a crack spidering across its surface, and the room was immediately filled with a deafening roar. The sisters screamed as the mirror began to glow, its fractured surface emitting a blinding light. Dark shadows swirled around Emma and Lily, their flawless faces twisting and contorting as their beauty dissolved before Eunice and Sarah's eyes. "No!" Emma shrieked, reaching for the mirror as the shadows consumed her. "You've ruined everything." The light intensified, and the sisters were pulled into the mirror, their screams echoing as the glass shattered into 1,000 pieces. The room fell silent, save for the sound of Eunice and Sarah's ragged breathing. Eunice collapsed to the floor, tears streaming down her face. "It's over," she whispered. Sarah knelt beside her, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You were incredible," she said. "We did it." They climbed the stairs together, leaving the remnants of the mirror and the darkness of the room behind. Outside, the cool night air felt like a balm, washing away the terror they had just endured. In the days that followed, Sarah released the footage Eunice had captured, exposing the truth about the Belmont sisters. The beauty industry was rocked to its core, and Gleam Lux collapsed under the weight of the scandal. Eunice, once an unknown makeup artist, became a celebrated figure for her bravery, and Sarah's brand, Radiance by Whitman, rose to prominence as a symbol of integrity and authenticity. Together, they built a new legacy, one founded on truth and resilience. And though the Belmont sisters were never seen again, their story served as a cautionary tale, a reminder that true beauty is more than skin deep. And no power comes without a cost. As the shattered pieces of the mirror lay abandoned, the Belmont sisters were gone, leaving behind only whispers of their dark pact. Eunice and Sarah stood stronger than ever, their bravery a testament to the power of truth and integrity. Together, they built a legacy that celebrated authenticity over illusion, proving that real beauty lies in courage, kindness, and self-acceptance. This tale of deception and redemption reminds us all that shortcuts to success often come with unimaginable costs. Through Eunice and Sarah's journey, we learn the importance of standing up against darkness, even when the odds seem insurmountable. Thank you for joining us on this captivating journey. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to Life Stories for more tales of resilience, love, and life's profound lessons. Stay tuned for the next inspiring chapter. See you in the next story.